Good morning. I think it's still the morning. I have tried to film this video for the past hour. It's been interesting. I tried to do a get ready with me while I talked about gastric bypass surgery or an RNY. And it's been interesting. But anyways, so take two, I guess. My name's Jennifer, and I'm looking at myself, and this is all new to me. So bear with me. Hopefully my skills get better. We'll see. A little bit about myself. I am 39. I turned 40 in December, and I wanted a change before I turned 40. And I tried the different diets and the different exercises, and I even did the weight loss, different meds for weight loss, and none of that really worked for me. And I went with my doctor, and we decided that I would look into gastric bypass surgery. And so that's what I did. And I had gastric bypass surgery on June 19th of 2019. And it's the July 25th, so it's been just a little bit over a month since I had the surgery. And so what I hope for this channel is that it can be a safe spot for if somebody is thinking about having gastric bypass surgery. We can talk, we can visit, ask questions. Oh, disclaimer. I am not a medical expert by any means. I am working with a doctor. I know what works for me, what's working with me so far, but it's with him, working with the doctor. So I'm not an expert, so what may work for me may not work for you. The way that I chose to do gastric bypass surgery may not work for you. This is just kind of a let's see what's going to happen type, not let's see what's going to happen, like this is what works for me, but you take your information and maybe I can help a little bit kind of thing. Some topics that I wanted to talk about, really why I chose to do this, and how I got started. Doing it in the United States versus doing it in Mexico. Because I did some research on some Mexico stuff too, and why I ultimately chose to do it in the United States, in a town that I live in. The process, how I got started, was it a long process? Was it a short process? Did I have to meet guidelines? There are things that I had to do for the doctor, and then things I also had to do for the insurance company. So kind of go into detail about some of that stuff. What I was feeling, because I kept a journal. I still keep a journal. Some of the goals that I hope to achieve. Some small goals that I hope to, some big goals that I hope to achieve. My reward system that I'm still working on, but I'm going to get that. But, when I hit this certain way or this certain way, what am I going to do? What were some of my triggers before for food? Because I had triggers that, and I love food. I love eating food. What's different now after I had the surgery versus before the surgery? That kind of thing. What's in my hospital bag? I can repack the hospital bag. I am on several gastric bypass and sleeve support groups. Even though I didn't have a sleeve, sometimes they get kind of lumped together, even though they're two completely different surgeries, and you have two completely different things that happen during the and what the differences are. That's another thing I talk about. Difference in sleeve and gastric bypass surgery. Why I chose to go with the gastric bypass surgery. Just my personal preference as to why I changed or why I chose to go with gastric bypass versus a sleeve. Like I said, what's in my hospital bag? I posed the question before I went to the hospital. What were some things that you had that were amazing, and what were some things that you wish that you'd have taken that once you got to the hospital you're like, man, I wish I had that. And I took all their suggestions, and my hospital time wasn't bad. And so there are some things that I would do a little differently, but it wasn't bad by any means. It was relatively, I'm not going to say painless, because I was in pain. I mean, obviously I just had surgery. And what they do for surgery, like how the surgery process goes. And then recovery time afterwards. Things that help me, things that I wish, were different. Because right after surgery, you're on a liquid diet. You can't eat a lot. You can't drink. You can't eat anything, and you can't drink a lot. So what I got to help me kind of monitor my drinking, what app I'm using. Sorry, ADD. I get shiny thing. But what app that I use to track my protein, because that's a big thing, is tracking your protein, making sure you're getting the adequate amount of protein, and that's set up with your doctor too. Who all I'm working with.